Would you like to build a story with me? I know, it's been a while, right? Yeah, well, let's just jump right into it, you guys. Don't want to keep you waiting. This story is going to be fantasy based as usual. That's pretty much been my thing. But we're going to take it from just fantasy to fantastical, okay? So in this story, there's a young woman, a princess to be specific. And this princess, she lived her days out in a castle with her father, the king, her mother, the queen, and her 3 younger siblings. So, one day, the princess decided she wanted to have a promenade and she wanted to go and enjoy the weather. So, her entourage escorted her out into the carriage and took her for a little ride. On this ride, the princess, she felt a little bit of a tightness in her chest, a little bit of heat in her stomach. Something just felt wrong. And so, what she decided to do was to scream for them to stop the carriage because she needed a breath of fresh air. And the moment the princess stepped out for that breath of fresh air, she transformed unlike anything that the guards had ever seen. Her body became stretched out, bones cracking and snapping and getting longer and longer and longer, forming into something unlike herself. Her body became scaly. It turned from a flesh tone to a dark, ruby, rich red tone. She was no longer human. And instead of yelling, as she wanted to scream and say, "What is happening to me?" when she roared, fire came out. Fire so thick and hot, so hot that part of the flames were blue. The guards, they ran, but some stayed and unsheathed their swords, assuming to be the knight in shining armor of the day. However, these guards were aware that the dragon was the princess. So in their moments of hesitation, their moments of fear of what the king might do against them for harming his daughter, their hesitation cost them their lives. They were burned to a crisp, black as tar, and the princess simply munched away. Ate them right up. And for the next 5 years, the guards spent their time trying to find a way to reach the princess. That she would merely just do everything she could to avoid them. There was something deep in her core, something dark, something sinister, that when it saw humans, when it saw living, breathing things, something just took over. The immediate instinct was to destroy, destroy, destroy. And so, the princess, she didn't know what to do. But her father had an idea. Her father had an idea because he'd met a witch doctor a few years ago, maybe about 6 or 7. And this witch doctor was so upset with the father for not paying her the shillings that he'd agreed to, that she'd announced to him, "Your lineage will burn. Your lineage will burn. It will perish, never to come again. You will want freedom, and that freedom will come at a cost. and it finally dawned on the king what had happened. His line, his lineage, had been cursed. And so the princess, she was doing this unbeknownst to her, harming and killing the guards over and over and over again before they had any chance to stop or save her. She was doing it because the witch doctor had destined it to happen. And so, what ended up happening was the father made the assumption that the young girl's curse, the whole family's curse really, it had to be lifted by true love's kiss. But it wouldn't be able to just be true love's kiss for the king, obviously, because that would be too easy. It had to be true love's kiss for the one who was changed, the princess. But how do you get a human to kiss a dragon? The king sent guard after guard after guard. He sent prince after prince after prince, each one getting crispier than the former, just eaten alive. At one point, the princess had stopped even setting them on fire first. She simply just ate them with a nice, large crunch. Yeah, just like that. And then one day, there was a young man who was no prince, he was no guard. He'd actually just simply been the son of a farmer. He would move cattle and pick up big, giant, large bags. He was a strong, hefty fellow. And he had quite the bit of charisma, one might say. This young man, he stumbled across these guards who were quitting, they were leaving, and they were discussing how there was simply no hope, that by the time the king was finished, the entire guard would be gone. Everyone would be gone at the hands of the princess. And so the young man, he asked what princess they were discussing, and the guards let him know about the princess who had been changed into a dragon, and that only true love's kiss or conquering her could be the outcome. The guards emphasized that true love surely wasn't coming for her. It was really about conquering her, taking her scales and holding it up to the king to say, hey, sorry about that, but now we're all going to be okay. And so the young man, he saw the cowardice in the guards, and he asked them which way to the castle. And so they directed him. He made his way after letting his family know that he would be leaving for a while. He made his way down the road and began his journey because he knew that someone had to stop this dragon, whether it was a woman or not. Something had to be done. And so, when he finally arrived to the castle, the help practically threw him into an armor shield because they had no other options. They didn't question him, they didn't vet him. They simply said, are you willing to lose your life? And he agreed. And so, he put on the rest of his armor and he made his way to the mountain. And I am going to stop the story right there. What do you guys think